They had already decided marriage was never going to be part of their story. Not because they hated love, not because they didn't believe two people could build something beautiful, but somewhere between disappointment, silence, and everything life had taught them, they stopped imagining anyone beside them. Marriage became something meant for other people. Then, you entered their life, and something they thought was settled began to change. The person who once said, "Marriage isn't for me," suddenly caught themselves imagining a future they had never wanted before. A future with you. Not just conversations, not just attraction, not just temporary feelings, but something halal, something peaceful, something they could ask Allah to place barakah in. And perhaps the most surprising part? You may have no idea how deeply your presence changed the way they see love, commitment, and marriage itself. So what happened inside their heart? What did they see in you that made someone who had closed the door on marriage quietly wonder, what if I could spend my life with this person? And could it be that Allah sometimes allows someone to enter our lives, not simply to make our hearts feel something, but to reveal desires we thought had disappeared forever? Stay with me until the end, because we're going to uncover the signs that someone's intentions toward you may have become far more serious than they ever expected. And if this message already reminds you of someone, subscribe, like this video, and comment Alhamdulillah below. And let's explore this through the lens of faith, sincerity, and the beautiful wisdom Islam gives us about love and marriage. 1. They never feared love. They feared giving their life to the wrong person. Sometimes when someone says, "I never wanted marriage," it does not mean they never wanted love. Maybe they did want love. Maybe they wanted someone who understood them. Maybe they wanted someone who stayed. Maybe they wanted a deep connection more than they ever admitted. But marriage felt different. Marriage felt serious. It meant trust. It meant responsibility. It meant opening your heart fully to one person. And that scared them. Maybe they grew up seeing unhappy marriages. Maybe they watched two people live in the same house, but feel far away from each other. Maybe they saw constant arguments, silent pain, or one person giving everything while the other gave very little. Maybe they watched someone they loved get hurt after trusting the wrong person. Or maybe they had their own painful experience and learned that beautiful words do not always lead to a beautiful future. So they made a quiet promise to themselves. Do not trust too much. Do not get too attached. Do not expect forever. Do not give someone the power to break your peace. From the outside, this can look like strength. It can look like independence. And sometimes it is. But sometimes independence is only a wall built around fear. They say they do not need marriage because wanting marriage would mean admitting they could lose something important. And people often fear losing the things they secretly want most. So they keep their heart protected. They leave before things become serious. They avoid deep talks about the future. They keep people close, but not too close. They tell themselves freedom means never depending on anyone. And after a while, they stop asking what they really want. They simply decide, marriage is not for me. Then you enter their life, and something begins to change. Because you do not make commitment feel dangerous. You do not make love feel heavy. You do not make them feel controlled. You listen. You respect them. You give them space without making them feel alone. You bring calm where they expected pressure. You make them feel safe enough to be themselves. And for the first time, they begin to see marriage in a different way. Maybe marriage was never the real fear. Maybe the real fear was choosing the wrong person. They were afraid of waking up beside someone who did not understand them, afraid of giving years of their life to someone who would stop appreciating them, afraid of loving someone deeply and later feeling trapped with the wrong person, afraid of giving their heart to someone who looked kind in the beginning but changed after commitment. Then they met you, and a new thought entered their mind. What if marriage does not have to feel like losing yourself? What if it can feel like growing together? What if commitment does not mean losing freedom? What if it means choosing someone you can trust with your future? What if home can become the one place where you feel calm, understood, and accepted? That thought can change a person deeply, because now they have to ask themselves a hard question. Did they really hate marriage? Or were they only trying to protect themselves from pain? But remember this: you cannot remove every fear just by loving someone well. You can show them that healthy love exists. You can show them respect. You can bring peace where they once saw chaos. You can show them that closeness does not have to mean control. But they still have to face their own fear. They still have to heal what hurt them. They still have to decide whether the past will control their future. Because a person can meet someone good and still run away. They can finally find peace and still become afraid of it. They can receive honesty and still expect betrayal. They can find someone serious and still doubt everything. They can want marriage and still destroy the path leading to it. That is why your love alone cannot do all the work. Your presence may show them another way. Your kindness may help them believe again. Your character may make marriage feel possible. But in the end, they must choose courage. Because love may open the door, but courage is what makes someone walk through it. 2. You made marriage feel like peace instead of a prison. Some people do not hate marriage. They hate what they think marriage will do to them. They think marriage means losing freedom, losing space, losing peace, losing the life they worked hard to build. They imagine endless arguments, too many expectations, too much pressure, too many responsibilities. So in their mind, staying single feels safer. No one can control them. No one can disappoint them too deeply. No one can suddenly change the direction of their life. They can make their own choices, move at their own pace, protect their own peace. And for a long time, that feels enough. Then they meet someone who makes love feel different. Someone like you. You do not enter their life and make everything feel heavy. You do not make them feel trapped. You do not force them to become someone else just to keep you happy. Instead, they feel calm around you. They feel heard. They feel respected. They feel like they can be honest without being judged for every small thing. And slowly, the idea of marriage begins to change inside them. Because now, marriage is no longer only about responsibility. It starts to feel like companionship. It starts to feel like having one person beside you when life becomes difficult. Someone you can come home to. Someone you can trust. Someone who understands your quiet moments. Someone who does not only love you when you are easy to love. They begin to see that marriage does not have to feel like two people fighting for control. It can feel like two people helping each other carry life. And that is a powerful change, because sometimes the thing that makes someone want marriage is not romance. It is peace. It is the feeling of not having to pretend. It is being able to speak without fear. It is knowing that one disagreement will not destroy everything. It is knowing that your weaknesses will not always be used against you. It is being around someone who makes your heart feel lighter, not more tired. And maybe that is what they found in you. You did not make marriage look perfect. You made it look possible. You showed them that closeness does not always mean losing yourself. Sometimes, the right person helps you understand yourself better. You showed them that commitment does not always mean being trapped. Sometimes commitment means finally knowing where your heart belongs. You showed them that love does not always have to be loud. Sometimes the strongest love feels calm, safe, steady, real. And perhaps for the first time, they start thinking about small things they never cared about before. Morning conversations, sharing meals, coming home after a long day, making plans together, supporting each other through difficult times, building something slowly, growing older beside someone who still feels familiar after many years. These simple thoughts can become very powerful to someone who once believed marriage had nothing to offer them, because now they are not imagining marriage with just anyone. They are imagining it with you. But be careful here. There is something important you must understand. Do not become too attached to the idea that you are the person who changed them. It can feel special when someone says, "I never wanted marriage before you." It can make your heart believe that you must be the one. It can make you feel that because they changed their mind for you, the ending is already decided. But it is not. You may have changed the way they see marriage. You may have opened a door inside them. You may have helped them believe that love can feel safe. But that does not automatically mean they are ready to walk towards marriage with you. This is where actions matter. Because someone can love the peace you bring and still be afraid of commitment. They can enjoy your presence and still avoid making a clear decision. They can imagine a home with you and still do nothing to build it. They can tell you that you are different and still keep you waiting. And you deserve more than being someone's beautiful idea. You deserve clarity. You deserve respect. You deserve a person who does not only love how you make them feel, but also understands what it means to build a real future with you. If you made marriage feel peaceful to them, that is beautiful. But now watch what they do with that feeling. Do they become more serious? Do they begin thinking about responsibility? Do they start making real decisions? Do they become clearer about what they want? Do they protect your heart from endless confusion? Because peace is not only something you should bring into their life, they should bring peace into yours too. You should not be the only person creating safety. You should not be the only one being patient. You should not be the only one making the connection feel stable. Real love is not one person carrying the whole relationship. It is two people choosing to build something together. Maybe you changed their idea of marriage. Maybe, before you, marriage felt like a prison. And now, it feels like a home. But a home cannot be built by one person. Both people have to show up. Both people have to be honest. Both people have to be ready to carry responsibility. And both people have to choose the future, not only imagine it. Because sometimes one good person can make marriage feel possible. But only two serious people can make that possibility real. 3. Real feelings are not enough. Marriage demands courage, clarity, and action. There comes a point when feelings are no longer the biggest question. You already know they care. You can feel it in the way they speak to you. You can see it in the way they remember small things about you. You notice how their thoughts about the future have changed. Maybe they once avoided every conversation about marriage. Now they are the one imagining it. Maybe they once said, "Marriage is not for me." Now they wonder what life with you could look like. That change can feel powerful, but eventually, one question becomes more important than everything else. What are they going to do about it? Because wanting marriage and being willing to move towards marriage are two different things. A person can have real feelings for you and still be afraid to make a decision. They can miss you every day and still avoid commitment. They can imagine you as their spouse and still keep the future unclear. They can tell you how important you are while doing very little to protect your place in their life. And this is where many hearts become stuck, not because there is no love, but because there is love without direction. Two people can talk for hours. They can understand each other deeply. They can share things they have never told anyone else. They can talk about the home they would want, the family they might build, the places they would visit, the kind of life they would create together. And after enough of these conversations, the future begins to feel real. But imagining a future is easy. Building one asks for courage, because marriage is where beautiful words have to meet real life. Now there are families to consider, responsibilities to carry, difficult questions to answer, plans to make, sacrifices to accept. and choices that can no longer be delayed forever. This is where you begin to see the difference between someone who loves the idea of you and someone who is serious about a future with you. A serious person may still be nervous. They may still have doubts. They may not have everything perfectly arranged. They may need time to prepare. There may be real problems standing in the way. But even when the path is difficult, you can usually see a direction. They do not only say, "I want you." They begin asking, "How can we do this properly?" That question changes everything. Because now the relationship is no longer living only inside feelings. It is moving towards responsibility. And responsibility is where intention becomes visible. Maybe they need to speak to family. Maybe they need to improve their financial situation. Maybe they need to finish something important in their life. Maybe there are family concerns that need to be handled with wisdom. Maybe both of you need time to understand whether your values, faith, goals, and expectations truly match. These things can take time. Not every delay means someone is playing with your heart. Sometimes good things require patience. But patience should not mean endless confusion. There is a difference between waiting for something that is moving forward and waiting for something that never moves at all. One kind of waiting has direction. The other only has promises. One says, "This is what is stopping us, and this is what I am doing about it." The other says, "Just give me more time." Again, and again, and again. Months pass. Nothing changes. The same conversation returns. The same promises are made. The same future is described beautifully. But every time action is needed, another reason appears. Soon. Not yet. When things get better. When life becomes easier. When the timing feels right. When everything is perfect. But life rarely becomes perfect. At some point, a person has to decide whether they are going to keep waiting for courage or finally use it. Because marriage requires courage. The courage to be clear. The courage to speak honestly. The courage to involve the right people when the time comes. The courage to face problems instead of hiding from them. The courage to say, "This is what I want, and I am willing to take responsibility for it." And sometimes courage also means being honest when you are not ready. That honesty may hurt, but it is kinder than giving someone hope you cannot support with action. A person who respects you will not keep your heart waiting simply because they enjoy having you close. They will understand that your time matters too. Your emotions matter. Your future matters. And if they cannot give you certainty today, they should at least give you honesty. Because there is something painful about being almost chosen, almost ready, almost serious, almost moving forward, almost building a future. You keep thinking one more month will change everything, one more conversation, one more chance, one more promise, and before you realize it, you are not waiting for a person anymore. You are waiting for their potential. You are holding on to who they might become. You are loving a future version of them while the person standing in front of you remains unsure. That is why you have to look beyond feelings. Feelings can be real and still not be enough. Someone can love you and still lack courage. Someone can want you and still be unprepared. Someone can fear losing you and still refuse to make the choices needed to keep you. And someone can speak about marriage with you while secretly hoping they never have to decide anything today. Do not judge the future only by the strength of their emotions. Look at the direction of their actions. Are they becoming clearer? Are they taking responsibility? Are they trying to remove real obstacles? Are they willing to have difficult conversations? Are they protecting the connection from things that do not please Allah? Are they becoming the kind of person who can carry the marriage they say they want? Because marriage is not only about finding the right person, it is also about becoming ready to be the right person. And that requires more than love. It requires character, patience, honesty, faith, responsibility, and courage. If someone truly changed their mind about marriage because you entered their life, you do not need them to prove it with bigger words. You need to see that the change reached deeper than their emotions. Maybe before you, they never imagined becoming a husband or a wife. Now they do. Beautiful. But are they preparing themselves for that responsibility? Maybe before you, forever sounded frightening. Now forever with you sounds beautiful. Beautiful. But are they willing to take real steps towards it? Maybe they tell you, "You are the first person who made me want this." That can touch your heart. But the strongest words are still the ones a person lives. So do not ask only whether they feel something. Ask what those feelings are producing. Are those feelings making them more honest? More serious? More responsible? More willing to seek what is halal? More willing to face their fears? More willing to choose clarity over confusion? Because when feelings are sincere and intention becomes serious, something begins to change. You stop hearing only dreams. You begin seeing direction. You stop receiving only promises. You begin seeing effort. You stop wondering every day where you stand. The path may still take time, but you know the person is walking. And that matters. Because you should never have to drag someone towards a future they keep telling you they want. If they truly want to build that future, they must eventually walk towards it themselves. Your love can encourage them. Your presence can inspire them. Your character can show them why marriage might be worth choosing. But you cannot make their decision for them. They must choose. And when someone is truly ready to choose you, they will understand something very simple. Love is not only saying, "I want a future with you." Love is having the courage to begin building one. 4. Perhaps Allah brought you into their life to awaken what fear had buried. Sometimes, a person enters your life and changes something inside you without even trying. They do not force you to think differently. They do not convince you with perfect words. They simply arrive, and suddenly, the things you were sure about no longer feel so certain. Maybe that is what happened when they met you. Before you, they had already decided marriage was not for them. They had their reasons. They had their fears. They had built a life where they did not need to imagine forever with anyone. Then you came into their life, and something they had buried began to rise again. A desire for companionship. A desire for a peaceful home. A desire to have someone beside them through the good days and the difficult ones. A desire to stop running from closeness and finally build something real. Maybe they thought that part of their heart was gone. Maybe it was never gone. Maybe it was only hidden beneath fear. And perhaps Allah allowed your paths to cross at a time when they were finally ready to see what they had been avoiding. Sometimes Allah uses people to teach us things we could not learn alone. Someone teaches you patience. Someone teaches you boundaries. Someone shows you what kindness feels like. Someone makes you realize how deeply you still need to heal. Someone reminds you that your heart can still trust. And sometimes, one person changes the way you see your entire future. Before meeting them, you wanted one kind of life. After meeting them, you begin asking different questions. You begin wanting different things. You begin seeing possibilities that were invisible before. Perhaps you became that person for them. Maybe they had spent years saying, "I am better alone." Then they met you and realized that being with the right person does not always take away your peace. Sometimes it adds to it. Maybe they believed needing someone made them weak. Then they learned that healthy companionship is not weakness. Maybe they thought marriage meant losing themselves. Then they met someone who respected who they already were. Maybe they believed love always came with pain. Then they experienced a connection that felt calmer than what they had known before. And suddenly, the wall around their heart did not feel as necessary. But there is something very important to understand. If your presence changed their heart, do not begin believing that their heart belongs to you. Hearts belong to Allah. You may be part of someone's change. You may inspire them. You may remind them of something good. You may help them see marriage differently. But you do not control where their story goes next. Only Allah knows that. This is where people sometimes hurt themselves. They think, I changed them, so I must be the one meant for them. They think, they never wanted marriage before me, so surely I am their future. They think, why would Allah bring us this close if we were not meant to end up together? But we do not always know why Allah allows someone to enter our life. Sometimes a person stays. Sometimes a person teaches. Sometimes a person awakens. Sometimes a person reveals something inside us that needed to be seen. And sometimes someone becomes part of our journey without becoming part of our destination. That does not mean the connection had no meaning. It means its meaning may have been different from what you expected. Perhaps they needed to meet you to learn that marriage could be beautiful. Perhaps you needed to meet them to learn that being wanted is not the same as being chosen. Perhaps they needed to learn how to trust again. Perhaps you needed to learn how to stop waiting for someone who could not give you clarity. Perhaps both hearts needed to grow, and perhaps that growth will bring you together. Only Allah knows. That is why you should never make yourself responsible for keeping someone changed. If they become afraid again, you do not have to spend your life convincing them. If they become distant, you do not have to chase them every time. If they begin doubting the future, you do not have to keep proving why you are worth choosing. If they say they want marriage but continue avoiding every real step towards it, you do not have to carry their decision for them. Because something can happen when you become too attached to being the person who changed someone. You start working harder than they do. You start forgiving every delay. You accept confusion because you know they are afraid. You make excuses for their silence. You lower your expectations. You become afraid to ask serious questions because you do not want them to pull away. And slowly, you stop asking whether the connection is good for your heart. You only ask how you can keep it alive. That is not what love should become. You can support someone without carrying them. You can understand their fear without allowing that fear to control your future. You can care deeply without losing your own peace. And if they truly want the future you help them imagine, they must begin taking responsibility for it. They must face what scares them. They must deal with what is holding them back. They must seek guidance from Allah. They must become honest about what they want. They must decide whether they are ready to stop hiding behind the past. You cannot do those things for them. Maybe your presence opened the door, but they still have to choose whether they will walk through it. And while they are changing, remember something else. Maybe Allah is changing you too. Maybe you entered this connection believing that strong feelings were enough. Now you understand that strong character matters more. Maybe you thought hearing, "I want you," would give your heart peace. Now you understand that clarity gives a different kind of peace. Maybe you once wanted someone who could not imagine living without you. Now you want someone who knows how to build a healthy life with you. Maybe you thought patience meant waiting forever. Now you understand that patience does not mean accepting endless uncertainty. Maybe you thought love meant holding on. Now you are learning that sometimes faith means loosening your grip and allowing Allah to show you what is truly meant for you. That lesson can change everything. Because when you trust Allah, you stop trying to force every beautiful connection into the ending you want. You can appreciate what someone means to you without pretending you know what Allah has written. You can hope for marriage without making marriage with one particular person the only future your heart will accept. You can make dua without trying to control the answer. You can say, "Ya Allah, if this person is good for my faith, my life, and my future, bring us together in a way that pleases you. And if this person is not good for me, protect my heart from holding on to something you are asking me to release." That kind of dua is not easy, because sometimes we say we trust Allah while secretly wanting only one answer. We ask for guidance, but we have already decided what we want the guidance to say. We ask Allah to show us what is best, But when something begins moving away from us, we immediately chase it. Real trust is different. Real trust says, I have hopes, but Allah has knowledge. I see what this person means to me today, but Allah sees what they could mean to my life years from now. I see the connection, but Allah sees the consequences. I see what I might lose, but Allah knows what He may be protecting me from. And when you understand that, you no longer need to force the story. If this person is meant to become your spouse, then let the connection move towards something that honors Allah. Let intention become clearer. Let character become visible. Let both people grow. Let the relationship move away from endless emotional uncertainty and towards responsibility. And if the path keeps closing, do not destroy yourself trying to open every door. Sometimes a closed door is not the end of your story. Sometimes it is Allah redirecting you towards a door you cannot see yet. Maybe you changed their idea of marriage. Maybe they changed your understanding of love. Maybe you awakened something in each other that had been sleeping for years. And maybe one day, you will understand why your paths crossed. But until then, do not make the person more important than the lesson. Do not make the connection stronger than your trust in Allah. Do not make your imagined future more important than what Allah knows is best. Perhaps Allah brought you into their life to awaken what fear had buried. Perhaps He brought them into your life to awaken something in you too. And if both of you are written for each other, that awakening may become the beginning of a beautiful marriage. But if not, then trust that Allah can use one person to open your heart without making that person the final home of your heart. Some people awaken the dream. The right person will be ready to build it with you. 5. If they truly see you as their future, their actions will eventually match their heart. There comes a point when words are no longer enough. You have heard how they feel. You know you changed something inside them. You know they once looked at marriage and thought, that life is not for me. And now they look at you and imagine something completely different. A home, a family, a future. A life shared with one person. Maybe they have even told you, I never thought I would want marriage until I met you. Those words can stay in your heart for a long time, because being the person who changed someone's idea of forever can feel special. But marriage is too important to be built only on beautiful words. Eventually, feelings have to become actions. If they truly see you in their future, there should come a time when that future stops being only something they talk about. They begin moving towards it. Not perfectly, not without fear, not without problems, but clearly. Because someone can love you and still be confused. Someone can miss you and still avoid responsibility. Someone can imagine marrying you and still be too afraid to take the next step. Someone can say, I don't want to lose you, while doing very little to make sure they do not. This is why you cannot judge someone's intention only by how emotional they become. Look at what they do when emotions become quiet. Look at how they treat you on normal days. Look at how they behave when they are stressed. Look at how they respond when you disagree. Look at what happens when something does not go their way. Because marriage is not made of perfect moments. Most of marriage is ordinary life. It is waking up tired and still speaking kindly. It is dealing with responsibilities when you would rather rest. It is listening when the other person has had a difficult day. It is being patient when both of you see something differently. It is solving problems without turning every disagreement into a battle. It is remembering that the person standing in front of you is not your enemy. That is why character matters so much. Anyone can be gentle when everything is going well. Pay attention to who they become when things become difficult. When they are angry, do they still respect you? When they are wrong, can they admit it? When you set a boundary, do they honor it? When you say something they do not like, do they listen or punish you with silence? When they make a promise, do they try to keep it? When life becomes stressful, do they communicate or disappear? When there is a problem, do they search for a solution or search for someone to blame? These things may not sound as romantic as hearing, "I want to marry you." But these are the things that protect a marriage after the wedding day is over. You do not only need someone who loves your smile, you need someone who respects your tears. You do not only need someone who enjoys your best days, you need someone who knows how to stand beside you on difficult ones. You do not only need someone who says you are important, you need someone whose choices make you feel important. And you do not only need someone who dreams about a future with you, you need someone who understands the responsibility of building that future. There is a big difference between being wanted and being chosen. Being wanted is a feeling. Being chosen is a decision. Someone may want you when they feel lonely. They may want you when they miss you. They may want you when they imagine losing you. They may want you when another person shows interest in you. But choosing you means something deeper. Choosing you means they are willing to become clear. Choosing you means they stop keeping one foot in the future and one foot outside it. Choosing you means they understand that your heart cannot live forever inside uncertainty. And choosing marriage means accepting that love comes with responsibility. That does not mean they must have a perfect life before they approach marriage. Nobody does. They may still be working towards financial stability. They may still be dealing with family concerns. They may still be growing emotionally. There may be real challenges that require patience. But a person who is serious does not use every challenge as a hiding place. They communicate. They explain. They make plans. They take steps. They show you that even if the road is difficult, they are not standing still. That difference matters, because waiting for someone who is moving towards you feels very different from waiting for someone who only talks about moving towards you. One gives you direction. The other gives you hope without ground beneath it. And hope without clarity can keep a heart waiting much longer than it should. You start living on small signs. One beautiful message gives you hope for another month. One conversation about marriage makes you forget weeks of confusion. One promise makes you believe everything is finally changing. Then nothing changes. So you wait for another sign, another message, another promise, another moment where they tell you how much you mean to them. And without realizing it, you begin surviving on words instead of watching reality. Do not do that to your heart. If someone truly wants marriage with you, you should not need to turn every small action into proof. Their direction will eventually speak for itself, maybe slowly, maybe imperfectly, but clearly enough that you can see they are serious. Because real intention does not only create emotion, it creates movement. And there is another question that matters even more. What is this connection doing to your relationship with Allah? Sometimes we become so focused on whether another person loves us that we stop asking whether the connection itself is good for us. Does knowing this person make you more honest? More patient? More careful with your boundaries? More serious about becoming a better Muslim? Does the possibility of marriage make both of you want to approach things in a cleaner, more respectful way? Or has the connection become something that constantly pulls you into guilt, confusion, secrecy, emotional dependence, and choices you know are not good for you? A future that begins with Allah being pushed aside should make you think carefully about what you are building. If someone truly sees you as their future spouse, they should care about how you reach that future. They should not only want you, they should want what is good for you. They should care about your dignity, your faith, your peace, your family, your future. Because real love is not simply, "I need you in my life." Sometimes real love says, "I care about you too much to keep you in something unclear." It says, "If I am serious, I need to become serious in my actions too." That is a different kind of love. It is quieter than obsession, but stronger. It does not need to make promises every day. Its consistency becomes the promise. It does not need to keep saying, "Trust me." Its behavior gives you reasons to trust. It does not need to constantly say, "I will never leave." It keeps showing up with honesty and responsibility. And perhaps this person truly has changed. Maybe before you, they could not imagine marriage. Maybe they thought freedom meant never belonging to anyone. Maybe they believed commitment would make life smaller. Then they met you. And for the first time, forever did not sound frightening. It sounded peaceful. They began imagining things they once laughed about. Sharing a home, building a family, growing together, supporting each other. Growing older beside one person. That change may be real. But now comes the part that matters most. Will they honor what they discovered? Will they become the person capable of carrying the future they now desire? Will they face the fears that once kept them away from marriage? Will they become more responsible instead of only more emotional? Will they move closer to Allah as they think about building a life with you? Will they protect your heart instead of keeping it waiting? Will they turn, maybe one day, into a clear direction? Because the strongest proof that you changed their mind about marriage is not hearing them say it again and again. It is seeing what happens next. Maybe they start taking their life more seriously. Maybe they begin fixing things they had ignored for years. Maybe they start thinking about what kind of husband or wife they would need to become. Maybe they become more careful with their choices because they are no longer thinking only about themselves. Maybe they start preparing for responsibility instead of only dreaming about companionship. That is when you know the idea has gone deeper. They are no longer only thinking, "I want to marry this person." They are also thinking, "Am I ready to become the kind of spouse this marriage will need?" That question is powerful, because marriage is not only about finding someone good, it is about becoming good for someone too. You can spend years asking Allah to send you the right person, while forgetting to ask Allah to prepare you for the right person. Perhaps meeting you made them realize that. Perhaps for the first time, they have something worth becoming ready for. But their growth must still be their choice. You cannot build their character for them. You cannot create their courage. You cannot make them responsible. You cannot force them closer to Allah. You cannot love them so perfectly that all their fear disappears. At some point, they must carry their own heart, and you must protect yours. If they choose you, let them choose you with clarity. If they need time, let that time contain growth. If there are obstacles, let there be honest effort to face them. If they are afraid, let courage begin appearing beside that fear. But do not spend your life waiting for someone to become ready, simply because they once told you that you made them believe in marriage. Those words may be beautiful, but your future deserves more than beautiful words. And if they never take the step, if they never become ready, if they keep wanting you but never truly choose you, then understand something important. You can be deeply meaningful to someone and still not become their spouse. You can change the way someone sees love and still not be the person they marry. You can awaken a dream in someone and still not be the one who lives that dream beside them. That does not erase your value, and it does not mean the connection meant nothing. Maybe you were part of their growth. Maybe they were part of yours. Maybe meeting them taught you what you truly need from marriage. Maybe it taught you that being loved is beautiful, but being loved with clarity is better. Maybe it taught you that strong feelings cannot replace strong character. Maybe it taught you that you should never have to beg someone to become certain about a future they keep describing to you. And maybe it taught you the most important lesson of all. Your future is not sitting inside another person's hands. It is with Allah. So you do not need to chase someone into choosing you. You do not need to prove that you would make a good spouse. You do not need to become smaller, easier, quieter, or less honest just because you are afraid they might walk away. What Allah has written for you will not require you to lose yourself trying to hold on to it. Make dua. Ask for guidance. Look at character. Look at actions. Listen to words, but do not stop there. And give time enough space to reveal what emotion can hide. if they truly see you as their future. Eventually, you should see more than feelings. You should see courage. You should see clarity. You should see responsibility. You should see respect. You should see effort. You should see someone who is no longer only excited by the idea of having you, but serious about becoming ready to build with you. Because anyone can imagine forever when the moment feels beautiful. The right person understands what forever asks from them. Maybe they never expected to want marriage. Maybe they never expected anyone to change that. Then you entered their life, and suddenly, the future looked different. But the most beautiful part of this story is not that they changed their mind because of you. It is what they do after their heart changes. Because if their feelings are real, their character will begin carrying them. If their intention is serious, their direction will become clearer. And if they truly want to build a future with you, they will understand that love is not only about finding someone you never want to lose. It is about becoming someone who knows how to stay, how to honor, how to protect, and how to build. So do not only listen when they say, "You made me want marriage." Watch what happens next. Because words may reveal what is inside the heart, but actions reveal what someone is truly ready to build with it. Maybe they never believed marriage was meant for them until you entered their life. Maybe your presence awakened a future they had stopped believing in. But remember, the right love will not live forever in words, dreams, and one day. When intention is real, it begins moving towards something real. So trust Allah more than the story you have imagined. If this person is written for you, may Allah bring both hearts together in a way filled with peace, clarity, and barakah. And if they are not, may Allah give you something so beautiful that one day you understand why this story could not continue. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more reminders like this, and tell me in the comments, do you believe the right person can completely change how someone sees marriage?